Okay, greetings to you in the matchless name of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. So, how many of you have helped others? How many of you have helped other people? Right? Okay. You can also join. So, can I see the hands? Every one of us have helped. Okay. So, you would have helped in any elder people or any small children or any group of people. Maybe your annas, your akkas, anyone. So now, how many of you have received help from others? You have never received any help from others? No one has ever helped you? No? Oh, sad. Huh? People have helped you. You? Okay. So, many times, we have helped many people, as well as others have also helped us. Your teachers, they have helped you to pass from one grade to another, right? So they have put a great effort in your life and spent a lot of time and energy in your life, and they have helped you in all ways. So help is something, a great support to a person, right? It's a great support to a person. So you can see people smiling or with tears when someone helps them, right? When some people help other people on railway stations or bus stations, anywhere on the road. So the person who receives the help, either he will be filled with happiness or he will be filled with tears. So why do people smile or shed tears when they receive any help? Because that help is a life supporting thing and a final hope to some people. So I encourage our church to help people who are mistreated, who are needy, and the people who lack something in their lives. So keep on helping others. When you see someone on the road, you see someone near your school, near your workplace or near your home, and if you recognize them that they cannot help themselves, you kindly go to them and help them. So through that we will also spread the love of God to them. So the help might be small, a very little help, but that small thing, that small help can do wonders in people's life. So a help can change a person's life completely. So whether small or big, a help is always a special one to the needy. So we see on the social medias a lot of people doing charity work, charitable work, and giving money and food, shelter, dress to the poor people. So have you ever watched such videos on the social media, on the YouTube or Facebook or Instagram? So people, what they do, they collect money or they themselves save some money, and at the time of any festival, they go reach out to the needy people and they spend the money or get them a new cloth or new bed spreads or anything. So when we look such videos, our hearts melt most of the times, right? So while looking at their situation and looking at their appearance, we feel very sad by looking them. Because the way those needful people look in that video, we feel heartbroken for them. So a real incident is that on YouTube, so a beggar was begging. So someone filmed this beggar begging on the streets, and this beggar came to that same place for many years. So at a particular point, at a particular place, so this beggar used to come and sit, and he used to put his towel or any cloth before him, hat, something, and this beggar from morning till evening he begs. He asks money to the people who pass by. And as this begging was his profession, I mean, he had no other job. His only profession, his only job, his only thing that he know is begging. That's it. So this beggar was begging for many years at a particular time or a particular place, and he looked very ugly. So he had a torn shirt, a vessel, a shabby look. So very, very bad look. So one day a photographer, so people who take pictures, the street photography and other photographies. So one photographer, what he did was, he watched this beggar. This photographer, he watched that beggar daily, and he observed that beggar, and he did something special to that beggar. What he did was, one day this photographer just went near to that beggar and he asked them, I would like to change your look. I would like to turn you into a new person. Are you willing to change? And that beggar was very curious, because all his lifetime he was begging, and now a photographer comes to him and he tells that, I'm going to change your looks, I'm going to change your life completely. And this beggar agreed to that photographer, and he said, okay, do whatever you want, whatever seems right to you. And what that photographer did to that beggar was, he took him to the barber shop. This photographer, what he did, he took this beggar, the old man, to the barber shop, and he changed his look completely. So this beggar, before that barber shop or that experience or that haircut, a change of his appearance, he was ugly, he was shabby, he was entirely different. He did not have good clothes, or he did not have any good environment around him. But now this photographer had done some great job in his life. He changed his look, not just his look, his clothes, his activities, his style, and his beard and his hair and his everything, every cloth and jerkin, the jackets, everything he changed. And what he did was that beggar, he turned out to be a supermodel. A model. Have you seen models in the advertisements? Many models come. So this beggar was turned out to be this great model, supermodel. So how a small help changed that beggar's life completely, right? It was a very small little help, changing his looks, that's it. But we have such wonderful stories and similar kind of incident which changes many people's life. There are many stories like this on YouTube and on the books, on many places we can read or we can watch such beautiful stories, how a person helped someone and how his life changed. So today we are not going to look at how to help or to whom to help and other things, but one important thing that we are going to look at today. So till now we have seen how help changes the emotion, the character, the life of a person. So all these are a help by a person to a person. So it is a man helping another man from something. So man to man help is what we have seen till now. So today we are going to look how a God helps his people. So God's way of helping his people is entirely different, is entirely fabulous and beautiful. So when a person on earth helps another person on earth, joy comes, happiness comes, wonders happen in his life. So a man's help can bring a huge change in one's life. If a man's help to another person can bring a huge change in one's life, how much more can God's help change a person? That is what we are going to learn and look today. So person helping another person, and that person who is in of need, his life gets beautifully changed after that. So the earthly help is kind of wonderful one, and very very much interesting and beautiful to look. Then how much more the help of God can change a person's life completely. So today we are going to look at God's help. God's help, a divine help. So in the Bible we can see an incident which reminds us about God's help to a man who was in a great danger. So in the Bible we can see throughout the 66 books, right from Genesis to book of Revelation, God helping his children, helping his people, helping his followers, helping his disciples. So we can see each and every part, or in each and every page, somehow or the other, in different mediums, in different modes, God helps his people. And today also we are going to look at an incident which is of God's help, which teaches us about God's help to a person. And that person was in a great danger. So this man was the closest disciple of Jesus. Can you guess? A man who was in a great danger was also a man who was the closest disciple of Jesus. So a brave man, I'm giving clues to you. He was a brave man, he was an energetic person and a bold person among the disciples of Jesus. This person is very famous. We have already looked, sorry? No. Disciples of Jesus. It's okay. We have already looked at this even some few weeks ago. And the title was also Fear Brings Forth Failure. A person who feared and he failed at a point of time. Keep on your guesses, okay? This was about Peter. He feared at the wind and he went into the waters and he failed in his faith life. So that is what we have learned and we have meditated some few weeks before. And this person is that Peter. So the disciple of Jesus, he was very close to Jesus. So, and also who failed due to fear. So but today we are not going to look at Peter's fear or failure much. And this message is not about the previous things which happened there in Peter's life. So Peter falling into the under the water, and he was sinking. Today's meditation is not about Peter's fall or Peter's fear or failure, anything. But this incident is from the same chapter, same verses, but same incident but a different perspective. We're going to look at this in a different perspective. So the background of this incident is from Matthew chapter 14, verse 22 to 27. The Gospel of Matthew chapter 14, verse 22 to 27. I will explain this. So 22, it says that immediately Jesus made the disciples get into the boat and go on ahead of him to the other side while he dismissed the crowd. So a crowd was following Jesus and Jesus taught them, and Jesus did miracle among them. So he feeds the 5,000 and sends them away after the prayer meet. And Jesus immediately, he made his disciples to get a boat, and he made those disciples to get in the boat, and he told that, you go ahead of me. So after he dismissed the crowd as well as the disciples, Jesus now went to the mountainside to pray, to be alone and pray to the God the Father. So later that night, these disciples were traveling on the boat. So as this boat was in some distance from the shore, at the night time. So when the disciples were watching, Jesus walked on the waters, and he came near the boat, and he was a few distance before the boat. So these disciples would have relaxed, because just before, some few hours before, they have come from the meeting, from the prayer meet, from the teaching of Jesus. So they would be exhausted, they would be tired. So they are just relaxing on the boat, all the disciples. And this Jesus, after he sends, he prays and he walks on the water and reaches those disciples who were in the boat. And as soon as these disciples, maybe these disciples would have spoke to each other. What are the things that happened? So this incident was interesting in that shore. Any kind of conversation would have gone there. But as these disciples were watching, something like a ghost appeared on the water, walking. These disciples got fear, and these disciples cried out. So the verse tells like this. And they were terrified, looking at Jesus walking on waters. And it's a ghost, they shouted. It's a ghost, it's a devil, something which comes, because they have never experienced such incident, and they have never seen Jesus or anyone in their lifetime walking on water. So as soon as they saw this Jesus walking on the waters at the distance, they did not recognize him, but had something walking on the waters, and they feared and thought that Jesus was ghost. And they cried out in fear. See, all these disciples were elders. Not my age, not your age. They are very big, they are very old. Not too old, but they have crossed some of the youth stage, and some were married, kind of thing. But see, such elders, such great people, they feared, not just feared, but cried out. So, cried out in fear, the verse tells. So, when all these things had happened, something important happened there. So, all these disciples got frightened, they got fear, they cried out, thinking that some ghost is coming to them, near to them. So, in verse 28, our meditation of today starts. And verse 28 it says, Lord, if it is you, Peter replied, tell me to come to you on the waters. What happened is that Jesus, after these people got frightened and cried, Jesus is telling to those disciples, don't fear, my disciples. Take courage, it is I am Jesus. It is not some ghost walking on the water, it is I who's walking. So do not be afraid. So after Jesus telling this, immediately Peter, what he tells is that, Lord, if it is you are telling them it is Jesus, it is I. So if it is you, tell me to come to you on the waters. So look at the boldness and the courage of Peter, right? So Peter was very bold person. He had that guts. So when Jesus walked on the waters and came near to the disciples who were inside of the boat, every disciple of Jesus, they cried out in fear, right? They cried out in fear. They were terrified and shivering out of fear. Jesus told them, take courage, it is I, don't fear. Cool down, calm down, it is I. But even after Jesus spoke to them, telling all these things to them, they were still terrified. They were not yet convinced that it was Jesus. So because these disciples traveled along with Jesus, right? They traveled wherever Jesus went. They have seen the miracles of Jesus. They have been close to Jesus. They have heard the teachings of Jesus, the preachings of Jesus. So, all the time they were with Jesus, day and night, very close to him. So they very well knew the voice of Jesus, right? If I am talking to you, and some 1 or 2 months after this service, if I still meet you, and if I am hiding in a place and calling your name, won't you remember the voice? You will surely remember, this is this person calling me. So these disciples have already been traveling with Jesus, but they did not recognize the voice of Jesus. So they did not recognize the voice of their master. So now Jesus on the water, he was walking on the water, and the disciples were inside of the boat with fearful heart. So next what happened is that now Peter replied to Jesus, Lord, if it is you, tell me to come to you on the waters. So out of all the disciples, only Peter replied to Jesus. You can see all the disciples were frightened, they shouted, they cried out. But somehow or the other, this Peter got some guts, or I don't know, some blind belief or faith, some great boldness in him. And one among all the disciples, only Peter stepped out and replied to Jesus, Jesus, if it is you, even I wish to walk like you. Peter's wish was that, Lord, I wish to walk on the waters as like you. If this voice is yours, then command me to come to you. So what Jesus replied back to Peter, now Peter is inside of the boat and Jesus is outside of the boat, and Jesus is telling them, don't fear, it is I. And out of all the disciples, Peter comes forward and he replies to Jesus, Jesus, if it is really you, let me come out of this boat and walk as you walk on the waters. So if you command me to walk on the waters, then miracle will happen, then I will also walk like you. What Jesus said to Peter, what Jesus replied back to Peter, don't come. Huh? Don't come, Peter, stay on the boat. So be there on the boat. So don't do some adventure activities. So did Jesus scold him? No. Verse 29, it says, Jesus tells to Peter, come, he said. Jesus did not scold Peter or discourage Peter. He did not warn not to come, not to step out of the boat, but he said to Peter, come, Peter, come. Step out of the boat, Peter. Come here and walk like me. So this is the greatness of God. So allowing his followers to do miracles and experience supernatural things like him. That's why our God is a person, a great God who is without any greed. He is not at all greedy at all. So what people do, if a person has talent and another person is even more talented, this person will look at with jealousy and he tries to put him or under something, pressure, something. But Jesus, he walked on the waters, and when Peter, as a very small little person, in the sense, he was not a great preacher. Peter was not a great preacher at that point of time. He was not a great apostle. He was just a disciple who believed and who went along with Jesus. But even his simplest request was granted by Jesus. So he allows his disciples to be like him, to do wonders and miracles and supernatural things like him. So in the verse 29, then Peter got down out of the boat, walked on the water, and came toward Jesus. So Peter now stepped out of the boat. The verse says that he got down out of the boat. So Peter was the first person for the first time walked on the waters, not anyone else. No one in the history had ever walked on the waters except two people. Who are they? No one in the history, no one in the whole entire human history has ever walked on the waters except two people. Who are they? Sorry? Peter and Jesus. So first, Jesus walked on the water. Second, Peter walked on the water. Jesus was God, so he walked. So God walking on waters is his greatness. He can walk. But in the history of human, only Peter was the only person till today who walked on the waters. So now walked on the waters, and he came toward Jesus. He not just walked, he also came toward Jesus. Which means that Jesus was few distance away, like before Peter. So Peter was going that distance to reach Jesus. So look at how interesting it is, right? For the first time, Peter stepped out, and the first human to walk on the water was Peter. So verse 30 it says that, but when he saw the wind, he was afraid and beginning to sink, cried out, Lord, save me. So till now he went well, he went good, he was perfect. Now Peter walked, but for a few minutes he walked, that's it. He began to sink, the verse tells. What was the reason for the downfall of Peter, for the sinking of Peter? Is because he saw the wind that was there, that was hitting at that place. His focus got shifted from Jesus to the wind. His aim got completely changed at that time. So when Peter began to sink, he cried out. Peter began to cry out. He told, Lord, my Jesus, my Master, please save me. I'm drowning down. So now fear of death gripped Peter. So it gripped Peter so much that he was terrified. He was completely blanked out. So as I've told you before that, today's message is not about the fear or failure or Peter's boldness, anything, but a thing after the fall and sink. Of course, Jesus came, this Peter asked, Jesus granted the request. He also walked on the waters, Peter, and he was going near to Jesus, and particular time, at particular place, he fell down inside the water. So when Peter cried out to Jesus, he told, Lord, save me. What Jesus did. So something interesting happened. So this is where a real message starts. A few more minutes. But till now we have seen what the thing happened before the fall. But now after Peter fell inside the water, and as he was going inside and as he was sinking inside, verse 31, it says, the first part, 31, immediately Jesus reached out his hands and caught him. Immediately Jesus reached out his hand and caught him. The verse says that immediately Jesus helped. Immediately. What is immediately? Immediate. Fast, quick. So help is beautiful, but a timely help is always special, right? Helping someone is beautiful, but helping a person in his poorest or the needful time, a timely help is always precious. So helping a person is good, but helping a person immediately is wonderful, right? Supposing, just assume that you go with your friends to a park or a beach, anywhere, And as soon as you begin to enjoy in the waters or in the pond or lake somewhere, and as soon as you go dive, take a deep breath and try to come out, and you see that you are very far away from the shore, you are deep inside the waters, what will you do? What will you do? You call all the friends, you will shout, you will lift, you will beat the waters, right? So what if a person, a elder person, he watches, and you are shouting for a long time, and no one is able to hear your voice due to the air or wind or anything. So as you are drawing inside the water, sinking inside the water, and suddenly an elder person jumps inside the water and immediately he saves you, what will happen to you? You will feel inner peace. You will feel very great thing, cannot be expressed, such feeling. So a timely help is always precious. So I would like to tell an example from the Madurai camp that we went. So while I was studying, I think 9th or 10th standard, so we went with the youth leader, and we were like some 6 to 7 people, boys. We went to the Madurai camp, youth camp, and we were lodged in a mahal, or in a place, in a marriage hall. So we were staying there. We got ready, and we need to take the bus. So the bus was ready for us. It's a private bus. The bus was opposite the road. So on the marriage hall where we stayed was opposite to the bus. So in between, the main road was there. So as we youth boys, we need to pack all the things, and we need to cross the road, and we need to reach the bus. So it was the final day. So we were very much enjoying, and we were in a good mood, a very jolly mood, that we are coming back right to our place. So a young youth person who was beside of me, he was also trying to cross the road. And this person who came beside me, came along with me, he was standing right side of me. So the vehicles used to come this way. When we try to cross, on the right side the vehicle comes, and after we cross that part, another part vehicle comes on the left side. This person, what he did, this youth person, he was talking with me, and he looked at this side. Instead of looking right side, he was looking to the left, and he was trying to cross the road. And he was very curious to catch the bus, to catch the front seat. So he was very much enthusiastic, and he tried that way. He did not look the right way. He did not recognize what the things are coming. So as he was trying to cross the road from the one side, and suddenly I looked the right side, and a car just came very rashly, very fast it came. This person, he almost went in the middle of the road, and with a fraction of second, I just pulled his t-shirt. I just pulled back his t-shirt, and this person just came back from the front, and his fingers got little bit hit in the bonnet of the car. So the car was very fast. It's a main road. This person must have watched the right side and would have very much cautiously, carefully crossed the road. He did not look to the right. He looked somewhere, and he crossed within a fraction of second. So if not, some major damages would have happened. So his legs would have got fractured, or his hands would have got even more damage. So by the grace of God, nothing had happened to him. Just a sound, tick, that's it. Just small something. After 2 days, the pain went. So helping someone is fine, it's good. A timely help helps a person to come out from a great danger, right? If I did not pull that fellow back, he would have got hit badly. So it was a timely help. So in the same way, our God is a God who immediately helps us, not slowly. If I would have dragged that person very slowly, come back, what would have happened? He would have gone up. So our God, He always helps His people, not slowly, not too late. So what if I dragged that person very too late? Not slowly, but too late. Slowly means he would have got much hurt. Too late means that's it. So, but our God helps His people very quickly, very quick, very fast. So Jesus reached out His hands and caught him, holded Peter's hand from drowning. 3 important things to look at today. So why did Jesus help Peter immediately? So the verse could have told us that Jesus helped and He reached out His hands and caught Peter and saved him. Or Jesus saw and he was a little late. Something could have been written, but the verse stresses the word. Immediately Jesus saved Peter from drowning. So why did Jesus help Peter immediately, and what is the reason behind that quick help, that immediate help? Is that we have 3 important things. So the reason for that immediate help for Peter by Jesus was that to prevent from gasping. Gasping is taking the final breath kind of thing. The air will be like taking in much. So the elder people at the final stage, the air, the breath, it cannot be released, and it cannot be released out. It will be taking in much. So that is gasping. So preventing from gasping. So number 2 is preventing from shame. From shame. And number 3 is preventing from death. So I will little bit explain this. Preventing from gasping is, so as Peter went inside, so how many of you have went to swimming pool? Swimming pool. So many a times you would have drank the water, right? Without the knowledge, we would have drank many liters, some waters. So as we go deeper, the breath, it also beats, the heart also beats faster, and the breath also struggles within ourselves, right? We will be gasping for breath. It will be taking in. So that is gasping. So when Peter fell down, the reason for God immediately helping him, immediate help, quickly reaching out His hands, was because to prevent Peter from gasping. So he was very much cautious, he was very much careful in handling Peter. So he did not even let Peter to experience that gasping. So he prevented Peter from that gasping. So see how beautifully God watches His people. So Peter's life was drawing inside, and immediately Jesus reached out His hands to prevent Peter from gasping. So if not Jesus reaching out His hands, he would have gasped much, and all the waters would have went inside, and it will be a miserable one for Peter. So Peter, even though he was a fisherman, he know the routes, and he know the methods of swimming. So even after learning all the things, he would have took in many liters of water, maybe. So the second thing is that preventing from shame, because except Peter, all were afraid, right? All were afraid and all were terrified, all cried out. This Peter stepped out boldly. So, why did Jesus immediately help Peter was that to prevent Peter from having shame in front of his disciples, other disciples. So Jesus was very much curious about Peter's life. He was very much careful about this Peter's life. So he did not allow the shame to enter at that event. So he prevented Peter from great shame, because Peter was a person who himself volunteered. So Jesus did not call out first. He himself volunteered first. So if Peter would have got sunk in the water and would have been sinking in the water, it would be a great shame, because the disciples, even though they were afraid, after reaching the shore, they would have laughed, they would have mocked this Peter. You yourself went like a hero, and see what happened to you. But see how Jesus immediately helping. That means that without allowing the other disciples to make fun or to mock Peter, immediately he changed the situation. So number 3 is preventing from death. So from gasping, Jesus immediately saved. From shame, Jesus immediately saved this Peter. Number 3 is preventing from death. So if Jesus was late, or if he was too slow in reaching out his hands, because immediate, that word, it itself gives how the situation was in Peter's life. So it was a remarkable event. So Peter cannot forget this incident from his life. So God that day, he wonderfully saved, Jesus saved the life of Peter from death. So this Peter would have died by sinking inside the water, but Jesus was very much close to him, and he thought of helping Peter immediately. So our God is a God who does not allow his children to perish, to gasp, to get shamed, to face death. Death in the sense, any kind of death, spiritual decay. Sometimes we walk good, and sometimes we sink inside the water in faith. So immediately God prevents that soul, that spiritual soul which is about to get death, and he revives it back, gives life to it. So in today's time, just think of this, meditate of this 3 important points. So the immediate help was for the prevention from gasping, and the immediate help of Jesus was number 2, prevention from shame, and immediate help of Jesus was prevention from death. So just meditate on these 3 important points, and today's title is the immediate helper. The immediate helper. So when God's children are in any chaotic situation, or any danger, or any suffering, or in the realm of death, even the psalmist David tells, even in the middle of the death, even I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. So he prevents our soul from death, from shame, from gasping. So he wants his children to walk like him, to have faith like him, and he helps his children immediately. And his help is for those who obey to his voice, and those who have faith in him, and those who are his sheep. So just ponder upon these 3 important main points, and just think and pray about this point, and may God do wonders as Jesus did wonders in the life of Peter. Let us look to the Lord in prayer.